Chapter 73. The Final Chapter. Asking them to follow the formal medical advice and common sense direction demanded for the next 2 weeks seemed an impossible task. Since their reunion, the three of them played by the rules of isolation, but as the days went on, it was getting harder. The risk of them having the virus and being a threat was low, but they persisted, raw to the threat given Isla's loss and Steve's time in hospital. Because one was symptomatic and the other two had been in proximity to people who were infected, there was no getting around the 14-day period of isolation. Isla struggled to contain her excitement as the days counted down. She hadn't had any human contact since her parents' death, including being able to accept a hug from any of the 4 relatives allowed to attend the funeral. She just wanted to hold Steve, to kiss him again and be close enough to feel that everything was going to be all right. Steve told her he was desperately in need of intimacy. The hugs and kisses of his grown-up daughter were great, but didn't replace the other type of love from a woman. Despite her threats, Amy stayed with them in Southsea and had quickly warmed to their guest. By the 3rd day, she'd bonded with Isla and could see for herself why her dad had a place in his heart for her. The time was coming when she'd need to make herself scarce. She could see how this was panning out and was happy for them. The day came when Isla could wake Steve up in person. She wanted to be with him when he woke for the first time since the terrible morning in New York. None of them had developed any of the symptoms Steve had shown before his hospitalization. They were free from the virus that continued to wreck so many lives the world over. It was VE Day and the sun filled the sky. Amy tactfully said that she needed some air and would take her outdoor exercise early. The flat took on a radiance that you could only get from being up high. There was no obstructions and you could follow the hovercraft on its trip across the Solent to ride. Isla got up early. Throughout the night she hadn't slept for more than an hour at a time and quietly let herself into the flat as soon as she felt was acceptable. Amy was already awake and preparing an espresso before her long circular bike ride around the island. "I'll be gone all morning, Isla, back around lunchtime. Then there's some stuff going on outdoors for VE Day later. Could be fun if you two are up for it. It'll be a change from what we've been used to recently." "Thank you again, Amy. Thank you so much." The last days had been some of the happiest Isla had ever experienced, and Amy responded similarly when her dad had asked her how she felt about Isla. Isla and Amy spent a lot of time talking while Steve rested, and Isla had told Amy about the sacrifice her dad had made to do what he felt was right. Amy confided that if the boot was on her foot, she wasn't sure she would have signed up for the life he had with her mum when his heart belonged elsewhere. She loved her mum but understood why there was so much tension. She tried not to be disloyal to her mum but said enough that Isla understood that Greta was a difficult woman, and Steve had put up with it. Amy gave them her blessing and said her dad had earned the right to chase rainbows with Isla. Isla assured her that this was the real thing and a long time coming. With their isolation from each other complete, the two women took a moment to embrace for the first time. There was a warmth in the embrace that neither could have predicted 2 weeks before. It was the first genuine feeling of love that Isla had felt since she'd seen her parents for the final time last Christmas. As Amy closed the door behind her, Steve opened his bedroom door. Isla didn't want anything to jeopardize the plan they had made for their morning. It would end 2 decades isolated from each other. "Good morning, darling." Isla was nervous for the first time since arriving at the flat 2 weeks before. So far, they had been in forced isolation. There had been rules they couldn't even embrace, but now they could do whatever they wanted. Steve moved to Isla, who fiddled nervously with the espresso machine. He took her hand in his as she gazed into his soul as they held each other again. The intensity of the silence and the strength of feeling between them was electric. He could feel her next to him, the beat of her heart audible even to the deaf. At any other time, such a heart rate would be considered unhealthy. He leaned in and felt Isla immediately move towards him, and a kiss that now released decades of bottled emotion. Their previous kisses had nothing on this, a full-voltage electric shock of a kiss that was incomparable to anything else. Amy had left the music playing in the background, and in the pause between songs they parted to look into each other. The stereo tripped into a new song as Mandolin Orange, modern exponents of Americana, filled the corners of the room. Steve reached for the remote and turned up the volume, immersing the two of them in the sweet, loving sounds of the North Carolina couple. "Like old times and companions, we never leave alone. So old man, give me endless time, never let these ties sever. So heaven knows in all this falling round, these times won't last forever, after all." Steve was singing along with the words until Isla put a finger on his lips at the mention of forever. "Hey Steve, want to bet on that?" "Shall we find out?" "That would be agreeable. I've been waiting to listen to music with you for a long time. Last time you played a tune to me, you fell straight to sleep, and I haven't been able to get this song out of my head since. Isla picked up her phone and connected it to the speaker. Yeah, it is you. I said, pressure drop. Alone and together, really together for the first time, they held each other close. The early summer sun blazed through the tall windows, lighting up the flat. Portsmouth was not Bridgetown, and their 2020 selves were not the youthful kids they were in 1998, but their world was perfect. Hey, what? I love you. I love you too, Steve. It is you. Oh, yeah. The end.